Silver, once a humble metal, is now at the heart of a global economic storm. Watch as its value begins to rise steadily and the world takes notice. Across the globe, silver prices are skyrocketing. A surge is underway. But what does this mean for the market and national security? Countries are beginning to feel the pressure as the shortage of silver deepens. Regions that once relied on easy access are now scrambling for resources. At the core of America's response lies its military might. The Pentagon stands as a guardian of this precious metal, securing the resources that are essential for national survival. Behind closed doors, top-secret documents are signed. The U.S. government plans its next strategic move, securing silver at all costs. Silver is being pulled from deep within the earth. As miners dig deeper, the stakes get higher. This isn't just about profit. It's about national security. Industrial plants are working around the clock, refining the silver necessary for high-tech and defense applications. Every ounce matters in this race. Meanwhile, in Beijing, China's grip on silver production tightens. As it powers its factories and industries, it keeps a watchful eye on global supply. Back in Washington, D.C., high-level meetings are taking place. Officials know that this shortage cannot be ignored. They must act and act quickly. Strategic stockpiles of silver are growing quietly and steadily in military storage facilities across the United States. This is no longer just an economic issue. This is a matter of national defense. On trading floors across the world, analysts are glued to their screens, tracking the meteoric rise of silver prices. The markets are shifting, and so are the power dynamics. As silver continues to rise, so does its importance in the global economy. Traders and investors alike are now looking at silver not just as a commodity, but as a strategic asset. From smartphones to satellites, silver is the hidden hero in many of our everyday technologies. The growing industrial demand is adding pressure to an already fragile market. Each silver coin tells a story. From the mines of South America to the high-tech factories of the U.S., it's all part of a delicate, global supply chain, one that is now at risk. Inside military bases, silver is being safeguarded, set aside for future defense technologies, from advanced missiles to fighter jets. This is no longer just a market commodity. It's a critical resource. Shipping routes are changing. Silver once sent out to international markets is now being rerouted. The flow of silver is shifting, and the U.S. is taking control of the path forward. At the docks, ships are loaded with silver headed for new destinations. Global markets are in flux, and this is just the beginning of a new era in resource control. In Washington, the U.S. government unveils its plan to protect silver reserves. The stakes are high and the message is clear. Silver must be secured at any cost. Behind the financial scenes, J.P. Morgan is watching closely. As the largest financial entity involved in silver, it's shaping the market's future. But what role will it play as the shortage deepens? Silver's price disparity between New York and Shanghai grows. The gap widens, signaling the growing disconnect between paper silver and the physical metal. Inside J.P. Morgan, executives monitor silver futures, and their concern is palpable. The paper market is showing cracks, but what are they preparing for? Shanghai is now the focal point for silver, with prices reaching $82 per ounce. This is the reality the West must face. The market is shifting east. Traders around the world react to these shifts, but none more urgently than the U.S. The race for silver is becoming a battle for global influence. As the U.S. begins construction on the Clarksville smelter, it signals a major move in the battle for silver. America is bringing production back to its own soil. U.S. military stockpiles grow larger by the day. Silver isn't just being refined for commerce, it's being refined for defense. With each passing day, financial experts analyze the crisis. The silver shortage is no longer a theory. It's an impending reality. Silver's transformation into a national security asset takes shape. In U.S. mints, silver bars are being pressed into molds, secured for the future. Strategic stockpiling is no longer a choice. It's a necessity. The U.S. government knows that securing silver today will ensure their power tomorrow. From mines in South America to factories in the U.S., the global flow of silver is changing, and the U.S. is leading the charge to take back control. As the world scrambles for silver, Latin American mines become increasingly important. The U.S. knows that securing these resources is crucial for its future. Global silver reserves are now being monitored more closely than ever. The balance of power in the market is shifting, and the U.S. is at the heart of this transition. Advanced technology is used to refine silver for military-grade applications. The U.S. military needs silver not just for its economy, but for its national security. Silver is now a matter of life and death in the defense sector. The Pentagon is doubling down on securing its supply, ensuring that it can build the next generation of weaponry. As China's industrial complex surges, the U.S. looks to its own future. It's a race to see who can control silver first, and America is setting the pace. At financial desks across the world, silver traders are glued to their screens. The market is heating up and no one wants to miss the action. U.S. military units are on high alert, safeguarding critical resources like silver to ensure national defense capabilities are never compromised. Back on U.S. soil, the construction of the Clarksville smelter accelerates. This plant will allow America to refine silver and control its destiny once again. The Department of Defense isn't just buying silver, it's locking it away for future generations. This is a long-term strategy, securing resources that are critical for survival. As silver prices fluctuate, U.S. officials remain calm, knowing they have a strategic plan in place to weather the storm. The battle for silver is just beginning. China is aware of America's actions and is ramping up its own production. The global competition for silver is intensifying, and both nations are at the forefront. The gap between paper silver and physical silver continues to widen. Traders now know the truth. The physical market will soon dominate. Investors around the world are making their move. Silver is no longer just a commodity. It's become a hedge against future economic instability. U.S. military officials are working overtime to ensure that silver reserves are protected. The need for this precious resource has never been clearer. China's production of silver continues to rise, but its control over the market is slipping as the U.S. secures its own supply chains. On Capitol Hill, silver security is now a hot topic. The U.S. government is investing heavily in silver stockpiles, and the message is clear: America must have silver. Latin America's role in the silver market is critical. The U.S. is strategically positioning itself to secure this supply before China gains even more control. The disparity between paper silver and physical silver is becoming more evident. The U.S. is shifting its focus to the tangible, to the silver that can be touched and used. At the U.S. Mint, workers are pressing silver into bars and coins. This isn't just about creating currency. It's about safeguarding America's future. Strategic stockpiling is no longer a choice. It's a necessity. The U.S. government knows that securing silver today will ensure their power tomorrow. From mines in South America to factories in the U.S., the global flow of silver is changing, and the U.S. is leading the charge to take back control. While the world watches, Latin America's silver is being diverted north. The U.S. is positioning itself to secure silver as the most critical asset of the future. A painted style illustration of a U.S. military warehouse filled with stacked silver, bars under dim industrial lighting, symbolizing emergency stockpiling during a crisis. Artistic depiction of a U.S. flag partially shadowed, with silver bars in the foreground, representing national security concerns. A dramatic painted scene of Chinese factory workers operating massive industrial machines, smoke and steam filling the air, symbolizing relentless industrial demand. Illustration-style global map showing silver flowing east toward Asia with thick arrows, western vaults fading in color. A stylized painting of empty western silver vaults, shelves partially bare, creating a sense of urgency and loss. A tense, illustrated scene of U.S. officials watching financial screens displaying rising Shanghai silver prices. A cinematic painted close-up of digital numbers. 82ers glowing in yellow over an Asian market background. An artistic contrast image showing New York trading screens at $75 versus Shanghai screens at $82. Painted style cargo ships leaving Western ports empty while ships heading to Asia are fully loaded. Illustrated refinery smokestacks in China, working at full capacity under a hazy yellow sky. A stylized depiction of Western traders looking stressed as silver. Inventory levels drop on digital dashboards. Painted scene of Chinese buyers confidently signing long-term metal contracts. An illustrated aerial view of Tennessee farmland, marked with construction cranes and industrial plans. Art-style blueprint overlay of the Clarksville Smelter superimposed on American soil. A painted image of molten metal pouring inside a newly built U.S. smelter. Glowing orange and white. Illustration of Latin American. Mines with arrows redirecting shipments north toward the United States. A dramatic painted handshake between U.S. officials and Latin American miners. Artistic scene showing Chinese ships fading into the distance while U.S. routes grow bolder. A painted depiction of Venezuela highlighted on a world map with resource icons glowing. Stylized illustration of geopolitical tension surrounding Venezuela, with competing arrows from China and the U.S. An oil and paint style image of raw ore being loaded onto ships labeled strategic materials. A cinematic painting of U.S. lawmakers in a dark room discussing emergency resource strategies. Illustration of a ticking clock overlaid on silver bars, symbolizing urgency before 2029. 29th. Painted scene of construction crews racing against time at the Tennessee smelter site. A stylized contrast showing chaos in global markets versus controlled stockpiles inside U.S. facilities. Artistic depiction of J.P. Morgan executives observing physical silver flows on large screens. A painted vault door closing slowly over stacks of silver bars. Illustration showing paper contracts burning away while physical silver remains intact. A symbolic painted image of paper futures turning into smoke. A dramatic illustration of physical silver glowing brightly while paper documents fade into darkness. A painted courtroom-style illustration where paper-silver contracts are judged worthless. Stylized depiction of the COMEX building appearing cracked and unstable. Artistic image of Shanghai markets vibrant and active, filled with buyers and factories. A cinematic painting of U.S. officials watching Shanghai prices with visible concern. Illustration of military missiles and satellites, subtly overlaid with silver circuitry patterns. Painted style depiction of silver atoms powering advanced technology systems. An artistic scene of a U.S. military convoy guarding shipments labeled critical minerals. Stylized painting of a vault marked strategic reserves, restricted access. A dramatic illustrated split screen showing paper traders on one side and physical holders on the other. Painted close-up of hands holding physical silver bars tightly. An illustration of retail investors stacking silver coins in home safes. Stylized depiction of J.P. Morgan transitioning from trading screens to physical infrastructure. Artistic image of a massive refinery dominating the American landscape. Painted aerial view of the Clarksville smelter glowing at night like a fortress. An illustration of global supply chains being rerouted permanently. Cinematic painting of two economic blocks, labeled East and West, dividing the globe. Stylized illustration of physical silver acting as the foundation beneath collapsing paper systems. Painted depiction of inflation, eroding paper money while silver remains solid. An artistic scene of silver conducting electricity across futuristic grids. Illustration of silver's antibacterial properties, shown through medical imagery. A dramatic painted image of silver reflecting light intensely in darkness. Stylized depiction of government buyers, ignoring price tags and acquiring metal aggressively. An illustration showing price charts no longer controlling the physical market. Painted scene of vault doors sealing shut across multiple nations. A symbolic illustration of return of capital, replacing return on capital. Cinematic painted close-up of silver bars stamped with purity marks. An artistic depiction of global panic contrasted with calm physical holders. Stylized illustration of a warning signal flashing over global markets. Final painted image of silver at the center of global power struggles. A bold illustrated end frame showing physical silver glowing with the words, "Physical is king."